That with us here today is the family of Wendell Broussard, who was executed, and I want to thank them so much for coming on the Houston bus with us. Wendell's sister was with him when they say he was out killing somebody, so you know, that list of innocent people is getting long. I want to introduce our last speaker. He's from Houston, Texas. Robert Muhammad is the minister of Mosque 45 and the regional coordinator for the Nation of Islam for I don't know how many states. He witnessed the executions of two innocent men, Odell Barnes and Shaka Sankofa, and he hosts Connect the Dots on Pacifica Radio in Houston on Wednesday afternoons at 3 o'clock. Please welcome Minister Robert Muhammad.
Thank you. Thank you. 2 minutes? You'll cut it off? Assalamu alaikum means peace be unto you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I give him praise and thanks for each and every one of you today. On June the 22nd, 2000, I walked out of Huntsville's death row. Myself, Reverend Jackson, Reverend Sharpton, and Bianca Jagger to address the international press that was assembled there to hear what Shaka said to us and our impression of what was going on in death row. I had been at that point on the 30th day of a 40-day fast. And I can tell you that when I stepped off of death row, stepped before those cameras, I said these words. I said, what was done here tonight was so evil that we cannot let this evil out of Texas. No. It seems to be a premonition. I don't claim to be some man that dropped in out of heaven. I'm just like you. But it was a premonition that what George Bush did in killing Shaka Sankofa, Odell Barnes, and the other 150 other people that he killed was like a skull and crossbones fraternity prank that he had to prove to the neoconservatives that he was a willing tool to go and murder anybody. And what he did when he got out of Texas, he got in the White House and he took that evil overseas and started wars overseas. And because the press in Texas was complicit, and because the so-called Democrats were so anxious to prove that George Bush was bipartisan, that Bob Bullock and the rest of them cut a deal. And our press was complicit with George Bush, and it was the national press when he was running for TV that exposed this death penalty, exposed our educational system, exposed a healthcare system that doesn't work. It exposed the underbelly of Texas. It took the national press to do that. Let me connect the dots. When he went into the White House, he started those wars because of those Ku Klux Klan conservatives that he had around him. Now, we're engaged in 2 wars with people, I'm telling you, that love death like we love life. We will not win another war. Did you hear what I said? Bring the troops home. Bring them home now. Find an honorable way to declare peace and get the hell up out of there, because Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the British Empire, the USSR, and America will find Afghanistan to be a graveyard. You need to bring them home, Mr. Obama. Bring them home. When we leave here, let's continue to fight against state-sanctioned murder. And how do we do that? We go in the neighborhood, take the same energy. Let's go to our children. Let's go to the middle schools and the high schools and tell them we got to end the drive-by shooting. Right. But you can't end drive-by shootings when you got the United States military overseas doing fly
you're out here today.
Okay, I'm Brother Robert Muhammad. I'm the Southwest Regional Representative of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I'm a student minister in Houston, Texas.
You know, talk about the significance of coming out here on the 10th anniversary. I don't know if we want to call it an anniversary, but for 10 years straight, people have been coming out here for this anti-death penalty march.
Well, one of the most, I say, significant cases of an innocent man being put to death on Texas death row was Shaka Sankofa. I was his spiritual advisor in 2000. Myself, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Bianca Jagger watched him be executed by the state of Texas.
That was under George Bush.
That was under George Bush, June 22nd, 2000. I also was the spiritual advisor to Odell Barnes, who was executed on March the 1st, 2000. So all of these men were innocent. I believe they were innocent, and the evidence proved it. But they executed them anyway. So what we have to do is we have to be consistent. We have to tell them, stop the unrighteous wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Get our troops home out of those wars. Stop the executions here in Texas and throughout the country that are racist, that are against the poor. And then go back to the neighborhood and tell our children, increase the peace and stop the killing on the streets.
You know, Texas has been changing, a lot younger, a lot more blacker and browner, and people say the attitudes may be shifting too when it comes to the death penalty. You're in the trenches, especially where it all happens in Houston. How are you seeing it? Are people waking up to this?
Well, the people are waking up generally, but our enemy continues to try to put us to sleep. And this is why we've got to increase the peace in the street. Because as long as it's street crime, where we're killing one another, they will have a justification for the death penalty.
Do you have any faith in the Obama administration to maybe change the tide with the brother that's as his Attorney General, Eric Holder? Yes.
No, because there are a lot of forces that actually control the White House and control the government apparatus. His hands are busy fighting those forces now, as evident in the healthcare battle. As we see, the healthcare industry has marshaled its forces against this healthcare reform.
Right.
So those same kind of forces are entrenched in the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex. But what you're seeing now is open warfare against the administration led by Fox News and those conservative Ku Klux Klan conservatives on the right.
I want to make a connection since you are with the Nation of Islam. We're very familiar with your brothers over in Oakland, Minister Keith and Minister Chris, with the fight that they've been, you know, in the trenches with the community against Oscar Grant.
Yes.
Do you make a connection between what had happened to Oscar Grant and the type of shenanigans that are going on with moving the trial to the type of fight that you all have here in Houston and then throughout Texas?
Absolutely. There's a problem not just with corrupt judges. There's corrupt prosecution, there's corrupt police, there's a lack of ability to have public defenders. We don't have a real public defender system, particularly in Harris County, which is the death penalty capital of the industrialized world. Not just Texas, not just the United States. Harris County is the death penalty capital of the industrialized United States. So, industrialized world, excuse me. So yes, there's a connection, because wherever there's police brutality, corrupt police that cover it up once one of their own are brutal, wherever you've got a judicial system that will make sure that they take care of their own, when you got judges that will rule not in favor of the evidence or in favor of the Constitution that they call it, but will rule in favor of covering up a system, when you have district attorneys whose institutional entrenchments is such that they will not do anything that will show that their system is broken and needs to be fixed. And when you got a prison industrial complex that has replaced manufacturing jobs and real industry in this country, then you have entrenched interests that are going to make sure that this system is perpetuated. But the people will not have it, and God will